I began attending courses at the local public education center, and my focus was absolute. I recorded every word the instructor said, listening to the recordings repeatedly at home, practically memorizing them. My goals were grand. I planned to practice migratory beekeeping across 3 different regions and seasons: chestnut honey in the Black Sea, citrus in the south, and pine honey in the west. I was going to turn my dreams into reality with 200 to 300 hives. I fueled by that excitement, I attended the beekeeping days at the Istanbul Haliç Congress Center, where I bought 2 modern flat-pack thermo hives. As soon as I returned to my village, I assembled the pieces. I had ordered my bees online, and they delivered them to the district center. There were dozens of people just like me, eagerly picking up their bees. But the warning signs were there from the very start. As we were unloading the 2 plastic hives from the truck, I noticed the entrance was sealed with tape. "Will that tape hold?" I asked skeptically. "Don't worry, brother," they replied. "It survived the whole journey here without opening." Right at that exact moment, just as I lowered the last hive to the ground, the tape snapped open. Stressed from the long journey, the bees burst out in a sudden, furious cloud. They immediately stung me and a few bystanders. I managed to reseal the tape, but my friend Yusuf and his son Serhat, terrified that it would open again, refused to get into my car. They called another friend from the village and left with him. One way or another, I drove back to the village entirely alone. My people who had previously promised, "We'll support you, just buy the bees, we have plenty of space," suddenly backed out and refused to give me a spot. After a stressful search, I managed to find a place thanks to Yusuf. Over time, the hives filled with honey. But while installing the upper hive body one day, I made a clumsy mistake. I forced it onto the tracks, and in doing so, I unintentionally crushed dozens of bees. It was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a brutally hot day. I was sweating so profusely that the hood of my protective suit stuck flat against my head. Despite wearing the mask, every bee that landed on me managed to sting right through the fabric. I was stung 15 to 20 times. Fortunately, I didn't have an allergic reaction to those, but the real disaster was yet to come. I walked about 100 meters away from the hives and took off my hood. I called a fellow beekeeper to ask what I could do to fix my mounting mistake. After hanging up, I lit a cigarette. And at that very moment, out of nowhere, I saw a single bee flying toward me like a bullet. It headed straight for my face, landed right over my ear, and stung me directly into a vein.
Within 10 seconds, a sensation like boiling water pouring down my head washed over me. I felt a violent urge to vomit, a desperate need to rush to a bathroom. Since I suffer from chronic asthma, the situation spiraled into a life-threatening crisis instantly. I couldn't breathe. It felt as though my windpipe was completely closing up. Gasping for air, I crawled to my car and immediately called 112 emergency services. "Stay exactly where you are," the dispatcher instructed. I decided not to call my parents so they wouldn't panic. Instead, I called my neighbor and friend, Yusuf, to explain the situation. However, staying put was not an option. It was impossible for an emergency vehicle to reach me there. I was deep in the forest, on an abandoned road that had been built for construction trucks during a hydroelectric plant project years ago. Now it was completely overgrown with trees. I had to take a risk and make it down to the paved concrete road. I started the car. As I drove, my entire world distorted. Everything turned stark white. The only thing visible was the thin black line where the tires tracked. Guided only by that bizarre tunnel vision perspective, I somehow managed to drive down to the junction where the dirt path met the concrete road. I dragged myself out of the car and collapsed onto the pavement. Gasping desperately for air, I curled up on the ground, trying different positions just to breathe. I rolled to my right, then to my left, struggling to find the exact angle that would let a fraction of oxygen into my lungs. Finally, I discovered that lying face down in a plank position allowed me to take shallow, agonizing breaths. "I'm dying," I thought to myself. I quietly recited the Kalima Ash-Shahada. This is it. It's over. By then, a strangely sweet, peaceful sensation enveloped my mind and eyes. Anyone who has ever undergone surgery knows that exact fading moment when the anesthesia takes full effect. It felt precisely like that. I had completely given up hope of survival. Only 5 minutes had passed since I called the ambulance. I was covered in dirt and thought, will I embarrass those who will have to handle my body? I had fully accepted my death. I was ready for whatever came next.
In the 6th minute, Yusuf arrived, bringing his son Serhat along with my mother and father. Serhat quickly positioned himself at the crossroads to guide the ambulance so they wouldn't take the wrong turn. And then, like an absolute miracle, the ambulance pulled up right beside me in the 7th minute. They immediately began treating me and checked my vitals. My blood pressure had plummeted to 30 millimeters of mercury, the critical threshold for circulatory collapse.
"There's no time to lose. We can't reach the doctor on duty," the paramedic shouted. Taking the initiative, the medical team administered the life-saving shots on the spot. Once they got me into the back of the ambulance, they kept forcing me to talk so I wouldn't lose consciousness. Halfway to the hospital, the fog in my mind began to clear. When the paramedic turned to me and said, "If we had been even 1 minute later, you would have been a goner," I realized just how incredibly close I had come to the point of no return. But how? How did they manage to get to me so incredibly fast? The coastal district town was 15 kilometers away, and the inland town was 18, yet they reached me in a mere 7 minutes. The answer was nothing short of divine providence. The crew had been in the nearby Karahmetli village for another patient. Just as they were officially recording that patient's time of death, my emergency call flashed on their screen. Without losing a single second, they redirected straight to me. In the end, a stranger who breathed their last breath in that village had inadvertently saved my life.
Dear viewers, what I've just shared with you is only the beginning. If you want to continue this journey of real mysterious stories, please hit like and subscribe. With your support, we will soon descend into the darkest corners of Anatolia. You'll see cinematic visuals on this channel, from the dark side of justice in the Jinn Court series to the ancient legend of Alkar's, the nightmare of expectant mothers. Stay tuned so you don't miss these special works I've prepared. Until we meet again in the next dark tale. For now, turn off the lights.